Grandmaster information, revolutionary revelations, paramilitary meditations. I stand for mind elevation, liberation, and
Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters, kings and queens. Alpha Quabo here at Radio Diamond TV. Every single week bringing the best of ourselves, bringing love, bringing unity. And that's what it's about. Because remember, when you step into this village, it's about the family worldwide. I'm your brother Alpha Quabo. I'm your prince. Not king yet because I gotta respect the elders, but I'm getting there. So it's such a pleasure to be here at this place, Radio Diamond TV. Yes, we give you audibly and visually at the same time. And then please kindly, we request, brothers and sisters, press play on this one, recording on this one. This is going on live on the Radio Diamond primarily. That's where you have to focus on. And we broadcast from all over the world. So absolutely kindly, I'm asking brothers in Jamaica to press play. Brothers in the continent to press play on this one. If you in Zimbabwe, South Africa, Congo, Angola, Mozambique, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Ghana. Shout out to absolutely my people from all over the continent. Oh yes, brothers in Gambia. Yes, brothers in Tanzania. Brothers in Haiti. Brothers in the United States. Brothers in Brazil. Brothers in Europe in general. UK, Belgium, Spain, France. I saw you requesting this show. I saw you keep pounding on me. Oh, what happened with the people in the United States? What happened with the movement? LFAC is taking over. What's going on? So that's why we're bringing the show to you. But right now, I want you, remember, we can't do this without asking the permission first of our ancestors. So 1 minute silence to pay respect to all of our ancestors. So right now, you're about to see videos and pictures. If you on the TV wise, but if you're on the radio, just relax. You're going to hear the sound, the melody, the ancestors' melody, and then just remain calm for 1 minute to pay respect to all of our great warriors that gave blood, sweat, and tears for us to be here. So right now, 1 minute silence start now.
I'm the minister of information, revolutionary revelations, paramilitary meditations. I stand for mind elevation, liberation, and the trill education of oppressed souls worldwide. No exceptions to this freedom speech. From Philadelphia to Philippines, resistance is by any means. I'm married to this love movement. Won't stop until the schools use it, and the athletes and actors choose it. Work out, break a sweat to it. Organize the knowledge seekers on your campus to it. Raise sons, raise funds, shine guns to it. Bang drums, spit bullets, this is rebel music.
This can't take it in your heart, can't fake it in your soul. Feel naked, girl, the bones can't shake it. Rebel music. Rebel music.
Yeah. Are you really down to put the work in? It's urgent. It's not weak or passive. Time to bring the disturbance, assertive wording concerning the pen working and earning. Higher learning, fire burning, world turning like the record that is spinning, blending sounds of an ending. Motivating activists to put their fists in the system, fulfill the mission. Got soldiers here enlisting, black and brown fists showing out the existence. Self-political, heard on instrumental, critical rhetoric, natural mystical. There's a war in this country, walking with snakes among me. Create rebel music to the sound of the drum beats.
You just can't take it in your heart, can't fake it in your soul. Feel naked, feel the bones can't shake it. Rebel music. Rebel music. Yeah.
You rap a lot, you should say more. Free turkeys in November ain't enough, you should do more. Ujama means shopping where it's black owned. Brown owned, make money, bring it back home. Let another sell you cigarettes and cell phones. Fake nails, fake hair, get a bank loan to buy everything except land. Loan money is the language we ignore. Therefore, we work just to shop. Hit the mall, spend it all on a chain and call it hip-hop. I refuse to season up the truth and bite my tongue. This is rebel music, freedom comes free to none.
This can't take it in your heart, can't fake it in your soul. Feel naked, cause your bones can't shake it. Rebel music. Rebel music.
They smashed Victor Jara's fingers in the stadium. The strings of his guitar fought the dictatorship. They shot him 40 times for the lyrics that he sang. His voice and his music brought a threat to the regime. Still inspirational, still powerful. In these times, suited up to hit the battlefield. No time for mumbling, stumbling over beats. We need critiques of police through raw heat. Complain rap, won't stop now, explain facts. Wage gaps, pay tax, keep us way back. Cause if we don't, who will? Make music still. Create real rebel music that you can feel.
You just can't take it in your heart, can't fake it in your soul. Feel naked, feel your bones can't shake it. Rebel music. Rebel music. Yeah.
Right here, that's what it's about. It's about understanding the power, the spiritual power that surrounds this conversation here today. Because remember, we're going to be having two giant, melanated giant. Because we understand when we're talking about black, you be like, I'm not black. Yes, when we're talking about black, you say, I'm not black. When we're talking about African, you're like, oh, I'm not African. We know that. We know at times you're trying to run away from yourself. So, but when we talking about melanated, you cannot hide yourself from that. Because we all got melanin in our body. So therefore, you cannot run away from it. So that's why it's your responsibility to share this message. If you all over social network, share the message. Record it. We forgot to mention Jamaica. Next week, we're going to be having Jamaica. Yes, we're going to talk about reparation. But today, the fly is simple. It's this one that you can see. We're not going to be out here beat babu to you. This is the fly that you're going to be seeing right here. This is the topic of our show. You see it for yourself right in your screen, or if you listen to the radio, this is the topic of our show today. Yes, the melanated family, the melanated people in the continent and diaspora must unite. Otherwise, the Chinese and the Europeans will take over our land. This is a topic. Do you agree or disagree? I'm challenging you out there. I'm challenging you on this one. Brothers and sisters from all over the world, I'm respectfully challenging you. Melanated people worldwide must unite. Otherwise, the Chinese and the European will take over the continent. Do you agree or disagree on this one? So, the phone number is right there in your screen. So you text, but don't call yet. Just text. So we might open up the line when we see the conversation, because if you are here, come here to this village, you have to give the floor to the giants first. Then, if you behave well, we can might be open up the line. If not, the line is not going to be open. But again, let me say the number to you one more time. This is the number right there. +4477 800-75693. This is an international WhatsApp number. You can get us out there. Send your message or question if you feel like it. So we have the special guest that you can see in your screen. The true giant. One is shaking over, shaking. The United States government is shaking. He came with a new vibe that you never seen for a long time in the United States. He came with the movement called NFAC. It's a train that is taking over the world. He will be here explain. I don't want to say anything. Then the second giant is shaking the continent with his lecture, with his words, with his sound. Yes, Joshua Mapongwe. So he's the chief, he's the author, he's right here with us in this village. So I'm here to ask the introduction first, the permission if I can moderate this conversation. Bring back my camera. I will ask them if I can moderate this conversation because this is a village. If they say yes, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna give it to you. If they say no, if you feel like you want to jump in, you come here to the Radio Diamond TV and you jump in. That's what we do. Because this is an African village, this is our African parliament here. We do accordingly, divine way, ancestors way. We don't play no game up here. So, Joshua Mapongwe, and first of all, I'm going to give you a 1 minute, a 2 minutes introduction real quick. Then, at the end, I want your permission if I can allow to proceed to moderate. Chief Joshua Mapongwe, you got the floor.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I'll start with the second question. No, a tall man does not lose his height by bowing to a short man. It is your turn to stand and assume the responsibilities that have been awarded and accorded you to host and moderate this show. From where I am coming from, I'm honored to be sharing the platform this day with Grandmaster J for the development of the African continent and beyond. The times of war demand a change of language so that the messages that are sent can only be understood and heard by those who are at the war and at the battlefront. I remember clearly during the times of the Zimbabwean liberation struggle, where we converted guns to sticks, where we converted the white people to animals and bulls, and we would be able to identify and speak to each other even in the presence of the enemy without them necessarily knowing what we were talking about. The African language hosts that mystery. Unfortunately, because of education and colonial education, if I should move into that corner, I may remain speaking to a few. But for the purposes of growth, I will speak in riddles, I will speak in parables, I will speak in idioms. But if you are a melanated person, even if your head cannot hear it, your spirit will interpret it for you. I look forward to a very healthy conversation, and I would like to welcome you all here from the kingdoms of the South, and I'm privileged to be surrounded by two of my favorite people, King Litsitsa from Harrismith here in South Africa, and Queen Amelia from Zimbabwe, but she's residing in London, and it's an honor to be here this afternoon. I thank you.
Chief Joshua Mapongwe, right in South Africa. Then we also want to give you the 2 minutes floor introduction of the Supreme Commander of the NFAC, Grandmaster J. As you've noticed, as I said before, he came with a totally new mindset. So to liberate African people or melanated people, not only in the United States, but around the world. And the young people all over the world are inspired by his movement, by his action, not just the words, but the action. Because understand one thing, words doesn't mean anything if don't come with the action. And that's why boots on the ground, it's necessary as the time required. So, Grandmaster J, the floor is yours.
Bid you all shalom. I bid you all peace. To each and every individual under the sound of my voice, you are my brothers and my sisters. Though we are separated, we are not. You are not foreigners. You are not someone from another country. By blood and by melanin, we are all one family. I bid you welcome. And I say to all of those who are participating in this conversation, I salute you and I honor you. We could be anywhere in the world, but on this day, the ancestors have led us to this point. For a meeting of the minds, the meeting of the spirit, the meeting of the determination, of the destination, and the course that we must set globally. Otherwise, we face a future of subjugation and eventual extermination, even though it is predicted that by the year 2050, we should be the largest population on the planet. Not too long ago, about a year ago, the ancestral spirits became restless. About a year ago, from the highest heights of Badon to the depths of Sheol, all of those who bled, died, suffered, and fought became restless. And they began to speak, not only to me, but to all of you. And that voice in your head, that unrest that was growing in your body, the uncomfortable situation that was developing globally, didn't feel like something that was natural. So it was only natural for us to respond in the spirit. We're not dead. We may be tied. We're not dead. We may be paralyzed. We're not dead. We might have been blinded. And at some point we shook off the ropes and we shook off the chains and we woke up from the brainwash, starting here in the United States and then spreading around the globe. In the same way I just told you that we're all brothers and sisters, so are they. No matter what name they may divide themselves up for to be organized, it is an organization that was put together for you. So they too became restless when they saw us standing up. And we stood up. As we say in the United States, we pulled up. And when they saw that, their worst nightmare was walking around. You see, we're a passionate people. We're a connected people. We're a determined people. Unfortunately, we're a compassionate people. We're a loving people. We're a forgiving people. And that has been our undoing because we always give the enemy the benefit of the doubt when they give us nothing in return but lies, tainted gifts, Trojan horses, and of course the ability to exploit our own kind against us. There's nothing new under the sun. There never has been. This movement is not new and it was not. I simply gave it, as they say, a resuscitation. I simply gave it a resurrection. I simply gave it a purpose. And you all came on board because in your spirit, you know the truth. You knew the truth. You just needed somebody bold enough to step up and say, this is the truth and we're gonna walk in it. And here we are a year later. Many say I am a political prisoner now. Many say that I have been silenced because the world, the melanated world, was truly beginning to come into its own, and there'd have to be some questions answered. There'd have to be some debts paid. There'd have to be some treaties honored. There'd have to be some deaths avenged. Many of us forget. Many of us have never been taught. Many of us have become so beholden to those who enslaved us that we would fight to keep us all asleep in the matrix, rather than allowing us to oversee our differences, which make us great, and walk toward our destiny. So this morning, I salute all the leaders here I bow down to your kingship, your queenship, because you are still the remnants of what was once the mightiest civilization on this planet. They know it, they just don't want you to know it. When I hear that it is the Europeans and it is the Chinese that we need to be afraid of, I would tell you to not be remiss. Do not overlook the Arabs, because it was the Arabs who enslaved us first. It was the Arabs who cut off our trade routes. It was the Arabs that carted off so many of us from the northeastern portions of the motherland for all types of purposes that today, when I hear the term human trafficking, you want to watch human trafficking, study the 400 years of enslavement, and or better yet, go back to the 16 centuries that the Arabs did to us. And then we can have a conversation about who has colonized our minds, colonized our motherland, and carted off a great deal of us and left us here in the United States, and treating us as if we're not your brothers and sisters. This is a conversation that is needed. It is a conversation that is feared. The movement is not dead. It never died. It may walk different. It may look different. It may talk different. Long after I'm gone, it will still be needed. So I welcome you all, and I welcome this conversation.
Thank you, Supreme Commander of the NFAC, Grandmaster J. Remember, it was also a United States presidential candidate in 2016. So go open this conversation. We already opened spiritually. Moving to Chief Joshua Mapongwe. Help us to understand the spiritual side, because right now seems like people don't understand the spiritual side of all this battle, because we tend to just focus on the physical side, but we forgot our ancestors, our warriors. They were well prepared spiritually for this battle. They were already prepared. So help us to describe, you speaking so well about the spiritual side that we tend to forget, tend to denigrate, but it's still here. Help us to understand, Chief Joshua Mapongwe, the spiritual side of us melanated people, real quick.
We are privileged. We are privileged as a people to be wired slightly differently from the rest of the world. I'm not saying so with any amount of downplaying any other race, but it is what it is. And the quicker and the sooner the African child, the melanated child, realizes their capacity, the better. You go to the cell phone company and you buy yourself a cell phone. If you don't know how to use it, you may think that it's just to make a phone call and receive an SMS, and that's it. But if it is a good Android phone or an iPhone, you may as well remember that you have a photocopying machine inside there. You have scanners inside there. You have a library inside there. You have a health scanner at your disposal. You have a camera, you have videos, you have 100,000 plus applications that you can utilize as and when you know how to use them. But until you study your hardware, you'll never know the capacity of your software. And I think the African child, for the longest of time, has been taught how to manage the hardware, how to work, how to fit into the system, which my honorable Grandmaster calls the matrix, how to survive the matrix, and how to become relevant, and the most horrible word that I hate in all my life, how to become politically correct. You know, how to fit into the system without upsetting the status quo. African spirituality is not complicated as much as people want it to sound like. It's what we are. It's in my own world where I've published a book entitled Find Your Truth, which is a bridge between those that are recovering addicts of Christianity into African spirituality. It's a simple three-phase statement. African spirituality has to do with us living in harmony with our environment. I'll qualify that. How do we relate with water? How do we relate with the soil? How do we relate with the wind? Those three elements are the basics of nature. Technology, colonization, development, and industrialization is vandalizing those three elements to make human existence less qualitative than it is naturally designed to be. The African, therefore, when he is asking for land, is not an estate. It is spirituality. Because when a child is born, the placenta is cut off and it is dug into the ground as a deposit, as a birth certificate, to say, I am part of this ground. When we're asking for ground, we're asking for a place where we can bury our ancestors and we can refer to them. Our history is in the soil. When we're asking for land, we're asking for medicines so that we can eat our own food. When we're asking for land, we're asking for estate, which we can hand over to our own children. When we're asking for land, we're asking for history, so that our children can have a relationship with the land first, before they can have a relationship with husbands and with wives. Hence, I always say, before you make your woman pregnant, make sure that the ground is pregnant. Because the first wife is the very estate of your ancestors, which is the land. Therefore, African spirituality is not complicated. We're asking for an address. We're asking for a GPRS on whence we can plant our feet, plant our food, plant our ancestors, and plant ourselves, so that we can have a point of reference, which is the essence of life itself, handing over history from one generation to another. What we call a history right now, it is his story, and hell no, I don't know whose story it is. But one thing for sure, it is not our story. African spirituality, therefore, it is connecting the present generation with the future generation and the past generation. Men are connecting cables between two civilizations. Hence, the cable that hangs between our legs connects the future, which are our children. And within it is the gene of our ancestors. That is our DNA and our melanin. And inside this DNA is our history, the wars, the disenfranchising, the killings, the celebrations of the past, the drums of the past, the knowledge of the past, the wisdom of the past. Science has not yet come to understand how much data is incubated in one sperm as it is transmitted from one generation into another. Isn't it amazing that 400 years later, 200 years later, 100 years later, Grandmaster J uprooted from his own land, he could still hear the drum of the African continent. And the same anger that occupied the forefathers when they were transported across the oceans, 100 years later, the same spirit would resurrect and remind him as to who he is, where is he coming from, and what has happened to his forefathers, and what he needs to do now and prepare for the next generation. I say African spirituality is a mere connection. Let me use technology so that you can understand me. Every African handset must have Wi-Fi, must have network. And that network is not to a European station, is not to a European ancestry, it's not to a European diet, it's not to a European fashion, it's not to a European entertainment. The Wi-Fi of the African child is connected to his own roots. You can run away as much as you can, but you cannot use the passwords of a Nokia phone on a Samsung phone, and you can't use a Samsung phone on an iPhone. This is a mess when an African child is trying to call upon a European god to deal with African problems. It becomes a schizophrenic environment of total mental retardation. How can you use a different password to a different network and a different hardware altogether? And having said that, therefore, we are not...
Oh, Doc.
We needed to remind the African child his manufacturing industry. We need to remind the quality of the hardware that he has and the software that is in him. The fact that we're dysfunctional is not because we're dysfunctional. We're using wrong codes. We're using wrong communication baselines that are not related to the essence of our being. Our struggle, therefore, is the Trojan horse that I heard Grandmaster talking about. It is the virus, the educational virus, the religious virus, the economic virus that has been downloaded from an illegitimate site into this hardware, now which is messing up the software. Our function, therefore, has to do with what I might want to term a reset. And before I can call for war, I want to call for war, because we need to strike to stop the strike. The only way you can kill the European infrastructure, it is simply by embracing your own. That's the point of departure.
So, moving to the United States, Grandmaster J, the Supreme Commander of NFAC, you oftentimes talking about the spiritual battle. We are just embody the spirits of our ancestors. They never die. They're still here with us. You're just bringing it back. Help us to understand, educate the family. So why is it important for us to embrace the spirits? I'm talking about the warrior spirit, not the ones, to some extent, with all due respect, the Mandela's spirits, what else? The Kofi Annan spirits. I'm talking about the Chaka Zulu spirits. I'm talking about the Malcolm X spirits, Queen Nzinga spirits. I'm talking about even Mugabe spirits, Gaddafi spirits. I'm talking about all these warriors. Why is it important for us to embrace it, and not only but also understand it? Supreme Commander Grandmaster J.
We must understand that we have been taught in reverse. We were always taught that spirits were a bad thing. We were always taught that demons meant us harm. We were separated from the connection that we had with our Creator, which is the one thing that they don't have. It is something that they've always been jealous of, something they've always been envious of. But if there's one thing that we've always known as a people, it is not so much the spirits that you just named. It is the ability to give ourselves over to the Master Creator and let Him use us as pieces in a chess game. When I first started this movement, it was not about boots on the ground. When I first started this movement, it was not about any of those. You see, just like the movie The Matrix that I mentioned, you see, Neo was a good player at one time. He was so immersed in the Matrix that he had to be pulled out. He didn't wake up. He had to be pulled out of the container. He had to be shown the real world, and then he had to be allowed time to get over it. And we found out some people couldn't handle it. This movement began in the teachings, not the teachings of the Europeans, not the teachings of those people who perverted their own gospels and created their own theologies. It began in a plain, common man examination of what was right and what was wrong and what was truth and what was a lie. And when you begin to wash yourself in the truth, it's hard for the lie to hold on to you. You have to remember, for 10 years, I was a preacher in the slave master's church. I was a theologian in the slave master's church. But what I was not was a slave in the mind to the slave master's church. And the more he showed me just how deep we went down the rabbit hole, the more I began to see the lie. And I made it my mission to free as many of my brothers and sisters from the slave master's perversion of our true belief systems, so that we could reconnect with our true belief systems and our true Creator. And in the course of doing that, along came all those other spirits that have been bound, that have inhabited so much of us so many times. And that spirit invests itself and it lives in each and every one of us, no matter how it is bound. And I began to loose that spirit. You didn't have to understand my words. You felt it in your spirit. You didn't have to understand the books that I was exegeting. You began to know it in your spirit. You've heard this somewhere before. You see, we all suffer from some form of spiritual amnesia, the same way we as a people suffer from cultural amnesia. The only difference is we didn't slip and bump our heads. We were hit on the head with a rock. We didn't get an injection that made us forget. We were given a blood transfusion so that even the royal blood that contained the DNA that was translated down through our ancestors was no longer there. And then most egregiously, we began to intermingle and mate with the very people who wanted us to forget everything about us on a physical, on a mental, and on a spiritual level. I woke that up because it woke up in me. And it was from within that we began to realize that we can continue to sit around and ask why. But the time for asking that question is way past. It then grew to an opportunity where we needed to stand up. Maybe not all of us, but it had to start somewhere. And that is why the NFAC was birthed out of the teachings. You see, you have to be clear. There are those people who heard the teachings and were willing to fight from the depths of their soul, not just for those here in this country. As you said, I've been transplanted, but I have not been removed. I have been relocated, but I haven't been erased. So what has happened is I'm the hostage who realized that I don't belong here. I need to go home because this ain't my home. What I began to realize, like everybody else, that the only way we're gonna get back is we're gonna have to go back ourselves, and where we're going, they need to realize we belong with you, you belong with us, and we need to get together. Otherwise, they're going to continue to win. The NFAC was birthed out of spiritual teachings, and all those who came after the fact, who tried to join up because, they thought it was just about guns and boots on the ground and taking it to the men. Let me educate you. A barbarian only knows violence. They have no higher intellectual thought. They're not driven by anything but flesh, whereas we are a spiritual people, and the flesh is a tool, and that is something that they cannot overcome. So when they saw the fire spreading in our souls, when they saw the people waking up, the light going on in our third eye that they don't have, when they saw the melanin being activated again, this is powered by the sun, when they began to realize that the story they were telling us just didn't smell right no more, they became afraid. But they still used the same tactics. They still used the same mentality. And they also realized they're not all awake yet. And we can capture the ones that haven't been awake. And we can use them to fight against the ones that are awakening. Because our battle is spiritual. It is not physical. It is not carnal. When you say NFAC, please don't think that that's just it. That was just one arm of it. But the power behind it is the same power that I'm using right now to allow myself, to use a better word, to be possessed by the spirits of our ancestors, because they can't speak from the dirt. They have to speak through us. And we have to move ourselves out of the way so that they can accomplish that which they were always prophesied to do. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a couple minutes and speak to everyone. I want to be clear, and when I say this, you have to understand that in the wake of all these fresh deaths at the hands of police officers, of some of the world's greatest nation's leaders, we see the people of the black race once again with the object of this renewed worldwide attention. You see, every time something begins to happen with us, they got to pay attention. You see, there's questions of injustice here in the United States that have been duly raised, and yes, they've been protested. And once again, the black cultural ties in America have seized, we're on various platforms. They get up there and they air their grievances, and mostly and rightly, they're talking about things like racism. They're talking about things like discrimination. They want to talk about things like racial profiling and hate, amongst other issues. But the one issue that has hardly been talked about in this core season is why black people, and if you're offended by the term black, let me help you out. We don't know who we are. We don't know our name. They did a good job at erasing it. So don't get offended when someone puts a title to identify the victim. I don't hear victims of crime saying, stop, I'm a rape victim. Stop, I'm a murder victim. Stop, I got embezzled. No, you're a victim. So we use the term black universally to identify that when you say Kemet, it means land of the blacks. So you are from the land of the blacks. So you can call yourself, I'm a Hebrew, I'm a Moor, I'm a this. We black. What are we gonna do about it? We get into this situation and nobody wants to talk about that. The core reason why black people have remained synonymous, the term black is synonymous with the denigrating experience of racism. It is, I dare to say, because of the worldwide indignity of the black race. You see, racism, as I've taught before, it's not limited to the United States. There is no non-black nation, even among the most liberal ones, where the black man is dignified. Let me say that again. There is no non-black nation, even amongst the most liberal ones, where the black man is dignified. History has dealt us an unforgiving blow in the incursion of foreigners into the black land. A lot of people don't know their histories. That's why they're doomed to repeat it. The Arabs enslaved the tribes and the nations and then colonized and they evangelized us. And then came the Europeans who persuaded the Africans we're an inferior race. Yeah, they're inferior. They're animals. We got to treat them this way. They even tried to use our own Bible to justify it. Then came the Europeans who persuaded the Africans to help divide up the continent. You remember, they divided up Africa over lunch in Berlin in 1884, over lunch. And then they carted off a very large population of our people. Sometimes they left entire villages empty. And then they brought those who remained on the continent under their rule. And so complete was the transformation that no black nation retained its ancestral nationhood, its national language, or its national identity. These are things you have to know before you can have the conversation. This is the context that we must have the conversation in. If we don't, then we're having an empty conversation over and over again. And today, we often hear how China or India or some other nation is taking over Africa economically. There's almost no nation whose majority is of a different race that is not spat on the face of the black person at one time or another. So be assured that the indignity will continue. The black elites and all these activists around the world, a lot of you all have adopted a culture of what I call verbal tyranny, in which you shut down any effort to reason or criticize us or black majority nations by labeling such attempts as racism or hate speech. Thus, one can be certain that any suggestions that our race may indeed need to do something to remedy our situation will not be aired. In other words, there's people always poised to come out like they've done with the NFAC movement, our own people who want to tell you why that's not the smartest thing to do. They're all talk. It's lyrical tyranny, a lot of lip service, and they pay it back. Why? Because they don't want to face the truth. You got to remember something. Not those terrified people of other races. They'll never tell our story. And anyone within our race who makes such a suggestion, they're going to call you weak and pandering, like they did Barack Obama when he came along. They said he was weak because he tried to go that particular route. Thus, no one wants to talk about the painful fact that most African and Caribbean nations have either failed or are about to collapse. We need to understand that before we can even have this conversation. You have to remember early African-American intellectuals, and we always hear these names brought up, and all these cultural elites. They saw that the future of our race could not be advanced by endless protests and marches of equality or demands for justice. You're doing that within their construct. It could only be done through the restoration of the trampled dignity of the black man. You get great men like Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X, and all those people. They only knew that a respected people are only when it has a nation worthy of respect. You see, a man who lives in a shack cannot expect to be treated with respect at a palace. They knew that for those of us to reclaim our power, we must first reclaim dignity, and that this comes through the construction of a solid black state with a demonstrable level of development and prosperity, and one that could stand as a powerful advocate for the global black. Today, no such state exists. So when the NFAC started talking about the establishment of the UBKN, the United Black Kemetic Nation, the global community became shook. When we started talking about going to the World Court or the crooked UN, they got scared when they realized that we would use their own systems against them. They went into their playbook because, as I said before, if there is a respected black nation that sits at the table with them, then they have no problem airing our grievances with no sense of retribution, because that in itself would equal the playing field. That hasn't happened. Need I continue? Today, no such state exists. Nigeria, which is the most populous black nation on earth, is on the brink of collapse. The machineries that make a nation exist, let alone succeed, have all eroded. One might argue that the nation's creation by seeking self-white imperialists engendered its failure from the beginning, as I did when I first started off. But that's only part of the problem. We have a culture of incompetence. We have a culture of endemic corruption. We have a culture of dignified ineptitude. And chief among all those, we have a culture of destructive selfishness and greed, which has played a major role in our unraveling. The same, sadly, can be said for most other African nations, like nation states like Zimbabwe, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, and you got some of these democracies that are ruled by men who exclusively cater to their interests and those of their clipped circles. This has infected us. Let me tell you a story very quickly, and then I'll take my seat. In the civilian world, I build data centers. I build those networks. I build those servers, databases. I did that because that's what I was trained to do. And one day I heard a story in Africa about a data center that was built for free by the Chinese as a gift to Africa. And one day somebody noticed that at midnight, all of the servers in this data center came alive and started transmitting data to China. And then in the morning, they'd go back to sleep. Remember, this was a gift. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And then when everyone said, "What is this?" They said, "Oh, we're so sorry." And they came in for free and removed those servers, took them back to China. Here's the point I'm making. Since then, China has been giving gifts to every country with the exception of Swaziland, to every nation in Africa. Free roads, free bridges, free housing, free this, free that. We'll build it for you. They're coming in, they're providing all the money and the labor, and they're building it and using Chinese workers to do it. Oh, they'll let the Africans participate. But what you don't hear about is how they treat them. Because what people don't realize is that there used to be a time when they colonized you with the sword. Now they colonize you with the checkbook, and they put you in debt. And if you don't know this, debt is slavery. The Chinese are on every country in Africa. And because of the cultures that I just described, they have a firm foothold in the continent. You do know that China will run out of space to live by the year 2030. Where do you think they intend on going? The European has always had a foothold in the motherland and has been strangling every country financially. And the United States is in on the gangbang too. Because there's no nation state in the motherland that is powerful enough, dignified enough, connected enough to push back And when I started talking about the United States of Africa, that could only be achieved by pushing these people out of the motherland. There's so many people who have been victimized. There are so many people who have been reduced to a level of poverty from a great people that it is more important to them to take the gifts and survive to the next day than to plunder into the valley of starvation. And that is why you see people today who look like us, but are so afraid to stand for us. I yield the rest of my time.
So, brothers and sisters, as you can see, the main focus of this show is to connect continents, connect people. Go back to Chief Mapongwe. As Grandmaster Jay said, seems like they kidnap. They're trying to destroy the traditional power. But we very much understand the chiefs in Africa, they hold power. And to some extent, they're like a sleeping giants. So what is your take about the power of the chief, and then the damage of what can chief actually done to push back? Because the chiefs they have the power, but why are they not really exercise the power to push these people, the invader, back? That's my question to you. Because at the end of the day, we got to understand, this politician, they're running around with the suit and tie in Africa, selling the continent. But the real power in Africa lies in our village. The real power in Africa lies with the chiefs. The question is, are they really using it effectively? Or they just like a sleeping giant ready to be awake? What is your thoughts, Chief Joshua Mapongwe?
We need to define power, and I want to categorically clarify two words that are being misused in the political arena right now. One is a ruler, the other one is a leader. Rulership is for abuse. Leadership is for guidance. We have rulers in Africa who are there to maintain the colonial narrative. In one sentence, illegitimate surrogate governments that are bribed by the colonial system before they even assume office. Because the system that has been instituted as a political system needs funding, and funding needs business. And the question is, does the African, black African, own money and business sufficient enough to turn the political wheel? The answer is multinational companies and colonial interests own the business environment. I'll clarify this in 4 stages. Stage 1 is economy, which is business, founded on stolen land, founded on stolen minerals, founded on stolen resources. Political leaders never signed the treaties with the British, the Germans, and the French. They signed the treaties with the kings. Rather, they didn't sign the treaties. They robbed the kings. I'll explain why and how that happened. Having money, therefore, what you do with your money is that you buy the politicians, which is given. So use your dollar, use your rand, use your money to buy the politician. Right now, some of the leaders that we have are simply rulers because they have the correct financial backup from the colonial money. So when they move into politics, they are going there not to change the lives of the people, but to maintain the businesses of the colonizers. You cannot be busy removing cobwebs in your house, and every night you go to bed sleeping and praying that may the Lord remove the cobwebs. If your brain is working, look for the spider and kill it. And then you only clean once. and you will not have cobwebs in a very long time until another spider comes back in your house again. Political cobwebs are not talking to the spider. At the end of the day, it's a cosmetic conversation on the web. When the spider is breeding more webs in its own loins, you buy the politician with the money. And when you buy the politician, then you distribute the country in a neo-colonialistic parliamentarian provinces, governors, premiers, councillors, which you cannot even translate some of those names into African languages. And apparently, when they went to war, the liberation heroes, quote-unquote heroes, they were commissioned by the kings, given money by the kings, given support by the kings, and given a mandate by the kings, and a blessing by the kings to go and fight to get the land back. Here is the mystery. When they came back from war, they did not bring back the mandate on which they had been assigned to do. Because while they were at war, they organized themselves into generals, military this, military that. You will be the president, you will be the vice president, you will be the chairman, you will be the SG, you will be this, you will be this. Which was a brilliant strategy. And with the negotiation of the Western world, they are coming back. They came back, quote unquote, as the kings themselves. Because they were not prepared to hand over the very substance of war, which was land. Let me make it categorically clear. We never went to war in Africa to fight for democracy. Democracy had never been our problem. We went to war to fight for land. Full stop. So don't come around with a bunch of documents, subsection 5, subsection 25, item 15, and etc. Your land is found on subsection 25, section B. There's no land on a piece of paper. So they used the money to buy the businesses. They used the money to buy the politicians. And when a politician was in power, he appointed the judiciary. That becomes the governing structure. Therefore, the parliamentarian approves policies, he makes them law, so that he can protect himself as a politician and protect the business, who is the main spider on the whole business web. And then, when the governor is in place and the governance is in place, that's where all the laws are locked in there, how to manage this, including the kings. Now, the kings found themselves being subjected to the business, which is being driven by the politician who is actually writing the laws on the top side. So you walk up to a politician, he said, the jurisdiction, the law says, but he will never tell you that he is the same culprit who has actually voted in parliament to effect the law that now is oppressing the indigenous leaders. And the last phase of oppression was now propaganda. That's where religion, that's where media and education are sitting on. What kind of a narrative do you tell people? You ever find that a politician is in power, but right now in Africa we're still studying William Shakespeare. We're still studying Romeo and Juliet. That's propaganda at its best. The same presidents in a political realm will still be calling the religious leaders to pray for them. Will be calling the indigenous rulers to come and bless them. These indigenous leaders are only good for elections and campaigns, but not for power. So if you understand that this is how colonialism works, remove the means of production from the black man, keep it in the hands of the colonizer, use your financial right now in South Africa, only 2 white families are running the whole country, the Oppenheimers and the Ruperts. Full stop. 2 families, 2 white families are running the entire population of 52 million people. Use your money to buy the politicians. I've never seen those 2 white men walk up anywhere to vote for anything, because their money votes for them. Even our president leadership cannot deny it on fact that his businesses and his function is solely based on the relationships that he has with those two families. Then with the politician in place, jurisdiction becomes easy. Gather a group of black people. How do you do it? It's easy. Make them shareholders in your company, then they will not tamper with the policies that disenfranchise their businesses. Simple equation.
Wow. The chief is going to be back again. So moving to the Supreme Commander. The chief is going to be back again. Maybe the line went down.
Let me jump on. Let me piggyback on what he said until he comes back.
Yes, actually, that's actually the question I wanted to ask as well.
Okay.
The political arena seems like in Africa, the political arena it's nothing to do with our African ancestry way. Seems like it's a copy of the British monarchy. It's a copy of the French monarchy. Is a copy. So you be in the political arena in the United States. You being there. So help us to understand. Is the political system in Africa? We look at it's a joke. It's a joke. They just a puppet. What is your take? Are we as African people really understand that vote only counts with the demand, with the power? Vote is just, if you just vote for the vote, you're gonna keep on crying all the time. Help us to understand. Are we really understand the politics that they've been playing on us for centuries, Grandmaster Jay?
So I'm going to answer that from two perspectives. First, I'm going to answer it as a former presidential candidate of the United States who understands the system very well and got pretty far in my endeavors. For those of you all who don't understand the political system, I will then answer that question as a black man, because there are two different answers. And I'm going to do it in reverse. You see, you have to remember, again, this is history. You have to understand your history. The systems that you see today are nothing but perverted, regurgitated versions of things that we created. The system of democracy, the true model of democracy, came out of Africa, and it worked like this. The people decided who they wanted to represent them. The people decided who had their best interest in heart. And the people retained the power to appoint or take that person out if they were not doing the things that they put them there for. So the king or the ruler or the person who presides, or what you would call the president, which means to preside over, is only a representative of the people. The power of the vote gave each and every person equal say-so in that system. So that when foreigners came into our lands to ask, could they have our resources? Could they have a piece of land? The king or the ruler could not arbitrarily say yes, and the people had no say-so. The king had to go and get the approval from the people. They said it was okay. Now the king spoke for the people and said, yes, you may now come in, because the people were okay with it. That is true democracy. And when they came and they conquered us and they saw this, that is not how they thought, because they're a barbarian people. They are a conquesting people. They're the kind of people where no. They're brutal to their own people. There is no harmony with their own people, so there can be no harmony with anyone else. And the greatest threat is what we call equally dispersed power vested with the people. They took that model and took it back to the Caucasus now, took it back to Rome and Greece, where they were still playing this king of the hill. I dominate you, I enslave you, I brutalize you, and I give you no respect as a common brother or sister. So they give you the illusion of having the power to vote, but remember, in the end, someone else makes the final decision. That is not our model, and it never was. When I ran for the presidency of the United States in 2016, I told everybody there was someone they needed to be on the lookout for. It wasn't Hillary Clinton, and it wasn't any of the other characters that they were parading around that they offer you the ability to utilize your vote. It was a man by the name of Donald Trump, who I could see was much more of a danger, not only to the United States, not only to the world, but to the black man in general and his standing in the world. And nobody listened. Why? Because nobody was prepared for a black man to seize power who actually understood that giving the power back to the people, to do the will of the people, to help everybody, not just a select group, would unseat the demography that they had built over the years. And so I learned the hard way. I learned that what they had done was perverted the system, that even though I could be as popular as I wanted to be, I still needed the blessings of a small group that had been created that retained the power. It's called the Electoral College. We don't know these people. We never saw these people. Matter of fact, it's not even a school you can go to. It's a group of white people that you never see who get to say, well, you know what? We like this person, but based on political interest, who's put as much money in my pocket and who's not going to go against the status quo. That's who I'll give my vote for. In other words, if I had $1 billion, I could have bought the presidency, because that's what it all boiled down to. It was not about the will of the people. It was more about the will of the dollar, as the brother said. Their dollars were voting for them. Now, let me be fair. I got into that game because I figured that they let Barack Obama in the door, who did nothing for us specifically. But I understand why he had to walk a fine line. He was a tool that they used. But I also believe that we had reached a place where we could at least begin to have the hard conversations that would move us further down the line to move the black man onto an equal playing field. And little did I know, once I got into that system, just how corrupt it was, just how money driven it was. And now, because of the NFAC movement, I truly believe that they will make sure that I never move into the position again to run for the presidency in this country. Because I too realize ruling this country is a waste of our time. Building our own nation that we can exercise true democratic power should be our goal, because as I said before, until there is a respected black nation, we will never be able to have equal power in this world. Let me explain something to you all very quickly. It's no surprise that in the absence of a healthy black nation, in the midst of all this chaos, these senseless wars, this corrupted religiosity, the violence, and the economic collapse, Africans and Caribbean people, they leave home, they go abroad. You know what happens to them? They end up begging in the streets of Greece, or they end up prostituting in the red light zones of the Netherlands, or they make up 40% of the migrants flocking to Europe. In France, big shout out to the NFAC in France. Their problem is the abuse of those immigrants from Africa who come there, because of the simple fact that we have people who end up in these countries helpless, unwanted, starved, maimed, treated like dogs. Last month in Italy, there was a newly married Nigerian man who was murdered simply for being unwanted. There is no respect there. Everywhere from the Ukraine to India, nearly every day, black indignity and black helplessness stares us in the face. And all we do, those of us who hold the platforms, is scream racism and court the sympathies of others. You know, the Yoruba had a saying that said, "Inian bigatero ni amoro para inife." You know what that means? That means the world loves a person who's like a partridge. You see, the partridge is a poor bird that's enfeebled at its creation. It has little ability to hunt. It cannot gather. It can't protect itself, and it can't feed itself. The Yoruba believe that the world loves these birds because they provide the space for people to show both sincere and insincere sympathy, while holding firm to the position that they are superior by maintaining a place for the partridge. That's what they've done to us, which is to say that if the partridge relies on the sympathy of others, it will not elevate to its position. That is our problem. We're too busy trying to glean the sympathy of people. We want folks to feel sorry for us. We're always asking for a handout. We have been permanently put into a victimized mode. When you move from being a victim to being the offender, the whole playing field changes. So as a politician, there is no power of the vote. The tribal chiefs, not the puppet rulers, hold the true power. Have they exercised it? Not yet, because it is the tribal chiefs that can say, I represent the will of the people, and the people want this. But it is up to the people to get behind the request of the tribal chiefs to unseat these puppet regimes. When you look at what happened in South Africa, when you look at what's happening in South Africa, when you look at what happened in Haiti, when you look at all these black leaders that have been assassinated, some people would say it was because they refused the vaccine, but I would have to disagree. Yes, there are other agendas at play. But before you can find sympathy for those that have been taken out, you have to look at who put them in to start with. If they were not put there by the people, then the people have no reason to feel sorry when they're taken out.
So, Chief Joshua Mapongwe, it's the same question. Do you reckon it's about time to take over and then regain the, say, monarchy, African way? Because it seems like the political system in Africa is not working at all, and it's never been working. Do you reckon it's about time to literally, I don't like to say this word, but we have to go to war. We have to tear down the system completely. We have to tear down the borders in Africa. We have to tear down the system, the colonizer system. You reckon it's about time to start mobilizing the chief and then really just taking over? Say, you know what? You step away. We don't want this republic, fake republics no more. We will take over by force. What is your take? Because I understand to some extent when you will be infusing the people with your words. Is that safe to say that we must? It's a must now to bring it back our ancestors' way to governing. I don't even like to say monarchy, but our ancestors' way to govern the people.
I will start up with a proverb we use in Zimbabwe. A man with one eye is a king amongst the blind. A man with one eye is a king amongst the blind. I would suggest some stuff I will not be able to mention on the platform. I would make my number available to the Grandmaster, and we can have some other conversation outside of this environment. But to say the least, the United States of Africa, in our context as Africans, will be trying to duplicate the same American concept. We had come up with something we call United Kingdoms of Africa, UKA, which the Honorable King Letsitsa is actually a member of King Bungane, and a couple other kings. We've made some inroads into Ghana and etc. Strategies to work on that are quite advanced, which I can make available to the Honorable going forward. The slave mentality has to stop. If a man is stepping on you, it belongs to you to pull out your leg, and whether you're going to do it politely or whether you're going to do it violently, depending on the amount of damage that has been caused. I have a proverb that says, you come to me and you slap me on my face. That's what you can do. If I go in my house and I pick up a spear and I thrust it in your heart, you have no right of telling me how to respond to what you provoked. An abused person cannot be taught how to heal by the abuser. You don't do a rape and then you want to help me to wash myself as the rapist. You have done your act as a colonizer. Step back. Let me find people that love me. Let me recover myself. Let me regain my dignity. But in your presence, I cannot recover quickly, because that becomes a constant source of pain and a reminder Unfortunately, African politics, until we understand the psychological damage, the economic damage, the colonial damage, the academic damage, the cultural damage, the spiritual damage, I can go on to mention the vandalism that has happened on the African mind, to such an extent that our weakest link right now are the educated amongst us, who have now become custodians, gatekeepers, doorkeepers of the system.
That's right.
So immediately you start talking our language, like we are talking right here. We are in the same spirit. Immediately you start talking like this, they feel threatened. Ask me why. They are the CEOs. They are the CFOs. They are shareholders. They are stakeholder managers. Can you believe you have a black person as a stakeholder manager over a mine that is producing billions of dollars, and you're only happy to build up a clinic and a small little road that goes to your mine, and you call that social responsibility? That's the CSI. We build them a clinic and we build them a hospital and a small little road, which is not even worth 0.9% of the profits that you are making. Are we ready? Yes, we are ready. But in all military strategies, there are two wars that must be fought. The first war is the war of the generals, where we sit together in a closed room, plan the terrain, think the strategies, look at the seasons, food supplies, medical supplies, all the other logistics that are needed. If you should take an army right now without doing that research, without doing that thinking, you are bound to lead a group of people into a funeral. We needed generals, we needed chiefs and kings to come together, put our heads together, not necessarily to kill the white system, because our people are addicted to it. We needed to create a parallel system, efficient enough, and slowly but surely through education and information, we can begin to move our people towards themselves. As we say again in my culture, the dog that you feed will always be stronger than the dog that you are starving. So in one sentence, we must start starving the European dog and start feeding the African dog. And I want to throw this openly, and I can stand for it. King Letsia, the one on Ulitsitsa, on the station right here, he's got land, vast, huge pieces of land. And I would challenge you and ask you, pack your bags, my brother. I'm not mixing my words. They'll kill you. They'll incarcerate you. They'll drag you. You'll be a vegetable. You will rot behind bars in an orange uniform. Pack your bags. Come back home. Let's put our heads together. We cannot think that these platforms, which are managed by them, and twice I've already been kicked out of this station, and I have enough data for the whole world, but I just found myself snapped out of the chat twice already. It will not work. We can just work here to conscientize each other. But for us, the basis of our success starts with education, educating the African child. And the closer we are, we unite our minds together, walk around a few kings around the continent of Africa, sell the idea, mobilize our people to such an extent that we can begin to make the impact on the colonial system. Immediately when we can have one centralized African stock exchange through which our minerals, our gold, our platinum and diamonds are being sold on the international market. If we squeeze that bottleneck of European bureaucracy, we don't even need them to bring back the money they stole. There is enough on the ground to what they have not tampered with. The change is sure. Success is guaranteed. In unity, we can make that impact. Kings on the continent are ready. South Africa, for example, 27 years later, they've discovered he's here. If you had an opportunity of giving him even 2 minutes to breathe for himself, he will tell you. He wrote a letter, which I can share with you right now, to the South African government, telling the president to step down, for democracy has failed altogether. Yes. We have kings that are ready to put their heads on the block and redeem their people Because their people are asking them, you told us to vote for these parties. Where are the things that you said you must vote for? The kings have nothing to show for it. Some of them have been bribed with a few cars, some of them with a few allowances, 10,000, 20,000 rand, just to pay up your telephone bill and etc. But within your territory, there's enough minerals and resources that can make every king a millionaire, a billionaire, and change the infrastructure. We don't need handouts. We don't need free housing. We don't need offerings. We are not beggars on the sidelines of Market Square, waiting for small little tinkering coins that are coming from those that have bought themselves lunch. Are we ready? Yes, the continent is ready. Leadership is our issue. And I would want to share a strategy with you, which is a common strategy. If you are in America, the 200-300 men standing, every one of them must walk up to the bank and get a loan, have a budget, identify a mine in Africa, invest your money in one mine, create the millions that you need, begin to make an impact in the economy. We will upset the politics. We will change the judiciary, and we will affect the propaganda on the top line. But we need a strategy, and that strategy needs a solid financial backing. So while you still have financial latitude with the dragon system of Babylon, before Babylon closes you down, go to the banks, all of you, create loans with the profit from the mines, from agriculture, from infrastructure development, from the plantations, we will be able to work together. The king on the table right now can give you vast pieces of land. You would not know what to do with them. You want to build housing and rent those houses, it's all up to you. There's a big dam there. You want to start up a hydraulic program for electricity. We're always in blackouts in South Africa here. The game is yours. You want to start up game farming? It's yours. You want to do animal husbandry? It's yours. You want to do horticulture and agriculture? It's yours. But the financial muscle right now that sits with the corrupt politician will not filter its way to empower the masses. What we need right now are intelligent men. You, particularly in America, you are scientists, you are agriculturalists, military personnel, you are doctors, secretaries, you are accountants. We don't need your money per se. We need your brains. We need your brains because you now understand the system. You need to come here and create a system that can stand parallel to the colonial system. I thank you.
Wow. So moving to the Supreme Commander of NFAC, Grandmaster J. We got about 30 minutes. Yeah, 30 minutes. I think we compile. So I respectfully just asking quick answers because we still got about 2 topics to ask the questions, and then we're definitely going to hear just 2 words of the chief that is in the room as well. And then also shout out to all the chiefs, because we send a message to the chiefs and then they really locked in on this one. Because believe me, there's really a real chiefs in Africa. They don't put up with this colonial bullshit. No. There's chief. Are you doubt about it? Look at me. I just came back from the continent, right? Look at this chief here next to me. This one here. He's shaking the Angolan government over there. Shaking the Angolan government totally. He's like, you see him here? He's like, man, I don't like to say, the European word is like a gangster. He's shaking everybody over there to the point that the government is paralyzing when they see him coming. So you see, for those brothers who on the media platform visually, you see what I'm talking about. But yes, moving to in the United States, let's talking about military strategy, because you understand the military side, you understand the tactic, you been on the ground. Do you reckon our people are ready military for war? Because at the end of the day, brothers, respectfully, let's just be fair. We have to be more revolutionary. We have to do any means necessary. So, Grandmaster J, you reckon our people are ready for war?
Answer that question. And this is a dialogue. That is why I came. I want to complete the thought of Makanga. And I want to answer that. This is a dialogue. I'm not coming here just to talk. I came to hear what I came to hear. but I want to have a dialogue with my brother in the motherland. I also want to acknowledge King Letizia Manaki here and all the other rulers that are sitting here with me. It is not taken lightly on me. Let me respond in kind to what my brother has offered and what he has said, because he hits on a very important point, which goes right to your question, Alpha. It is not a matter of whether or not we are ready militarily. There's something else that we have to address first, and that's this. The black elites, and I'm speaking directly to those in the United States, should allow for self-criticism and soul-searching. And here's why. You see, there is this mentality that we are separate, that you're in Africa and you're talking to us over here in the United States. And we're always placed into this context of being two separate groups, and we must find some way to work together. Again, I keep saying, you must know your history. Let me elaborate. You see, a lot of people don't realize that in order for the restoration of the Pan-Africanist movement, we have to have an eye toward sustainable black nations, not projects that then fail and then we come back again and again and again. Let me enlighten everybody. We have to come to realize that to a great extent, the fate of the black man in America is inextricably linked to the brothers in Africa. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You know, although largely unacknowledged in the American political conversation, Jim Crow, that a lot of folks know about in America, ended in part because of the African independent movement. It was Jaha Nwakijan in the 1960s, was the Nigerian foreign minister and an avowed Pan-Africanist who was close friends with American President Dwight Eisenhower and Lyndon Johnson. He once recalled how American officials were embarrassed when African ministers attended an official event at the New York's UN headquarters, and they were treated with honor as representatives of a sovereign country. And they were ashamed, for instance, when they saw that American blacks could not use the same bathroom as the Africans, who were just as black. The American blacks were further empowered when African nations started becoming independent. Black governed nations started popping up. You have Ghana in 1957, and that was followed shortly afterwards by other African nations. What I'm saying to you all is this: if we, black people everywhere, cannot gather our resources within our powers to exert real change and restore our dignity as one family connected, then we will continue to be seen as weak. And there's no way that we can prepare a military response or anything else as long as we consider ourselves separate. Black Americans will never, black lives will never matter as long as you think it's just American. African lives will never matter as long as you look at them as being foreigners. We are inextricably connected. When the NFAC put boots on the ground and the world saw it, it wasn't because people were spectating saying, oh my God, look at what's happening over in America. They took it as a wake-up call that they could do the same thing where they were, and that wherever we were, they were, and wherever they were, we were. And that united power scared the hell out of the Western civilization. Militarily, we are already prepared. It has to be a mental preparing. You see, they colonized Africa. They stole the people. They stole the resources. They stole the religion. They stole the culture. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, they stole our minds. And we're always talking about trying to get everything back but our minds. And once we become a united mindset with the intent of our own black nation building, until we get on that course, every other question is irrelevant. This brother has already said it, that the rulers are ready to get on one accord. Whether you are in Africa, the Caribbean, the Mediterranean, South America, North America, and even on the Asian continent, or wherever you are on this planet, until we all get on one accord, we will continue to be seen as weak, fragmented, able to be manipulated, and they can turn us against each other. There are people listening to my voice right now who hate the fact that it is coming from someone who looks like them. But let a white man say it, and you know, it's not that bad. Militarily, picking up a gun is not how you prepare militarily, and I am a vet of the United States military. It is picking up your mindset, your warrior mindset first, with an unshakable resolve and a goal. Being upset is okay. Talking about it is fine. Strategizing is okay too. Even coming up with a plan is okay. But until you lock arms with your brothers and sisters and say that we are prepared to win, lose, survive, or die together, we will never ever be able to rise to the level that we should. And when I see the resources on this planet all come from Africa, people don't even realize you are still looking at a model of the globe that is not correct. They want you to believe that Africa is so big when it's so big. Don't you know all the other countries fit into Africa? Why do you think they're not coming to Africa? Because they have sympathy for you? You have all the gold, you have all the ore, you have all the iron, you got all the diamonds. And then they give you a piece of a pie that you own. They let you eat in a restaurant that you own. They let you get some oil out the ground that's yours. If we are ever to rise again and resume our rightful place on this earth, it starts by us stopping the separation militarily, mentally, and spiritually. If they have the resources and they need leadership, now it makes perfect sense that after 400 years of being under a curse that is now over, that the ancestors would start to manifest themselves through people like myself and every ruler that's on this call and every person under the sound of my voice that can feel it tingling in your spirit. We're already ready militarily. We just need, and I hate to say this, and I don't know why we say this, there's nothing wrong with following a good king. There's nothing wrong with following strong leadership, because remember, the leader knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way. Not just knows the way, but won't show you the way and don't want to go the way.
Brothers and sisters, yeah. Do you see the level of this power here? So share the message. Whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, share the message. And most important thing, understand it. We're doing this show to make you, to help you, not only thinking, but act on it. Act on it, on your thinking. Not just talking about it, because I can see a lot of brothers and sisters on just using these Facebooks and YouTube, talking about it, gossiping each other, show how much car they have, how many cars they have, how much money you have. You see the level of wisdom that we're bringing up here. It's really just for you to act on it. Stop believing in what they're telling you about. Stop believing in what they lying to you. Oh, the chiefs, everybody's a sellout in Africa. Oh, the chiefs are sellout. Oh, the African people, those who don't really like us here in the UK or in the United States. They're lying to you. They say, oh, the African people sold you out. That's what they're lying to you. Oh, don't go to continent. Continent, oh, it's full of war over there. You see monkeys, snakes, they will bite you. That's what they tell you. But meanwhile, I was there. I saw a lot of Chinese over there. I saw a lot of Europeans over there. Oh, they live in large, my brothers. So, as Chief Mapongo said, pick up your bag, my brother. I know the Supreme Commander is ready. But what about you? Are you ready to go? Don't be just over here talking about it. We need to connect. Whether we're going to the United States, you come to the continent, we need to connect. That's what we're doing this show for. Go to Chief Joshua Mapongwe. So we got about 15 minutes. So let us understand about land now. That's the main focus of our show here, land. Make no mistake. We just gave you the spiel, the boost of everything that contained but land. So Chief Mapongwe, through our land pretty much, through our land, the European infrastructure, power structure, the Chinese power structure, they need our land to survive. Do you reckon now, what do we need to do now, practically, beside of connecting? What do we need to do practically to start owning, controlling? Are we need to start going over there, literally taking over by force? What is your thoughts about it, real quick? We got 5 minutes to give us the guide. Give us the go ahead. We ready. As a young soldiers, we ready. So we just want to hear from you. What is your practical step to start regaining control? Telling the Chinese, no, you're not coming here playing game no more. Telling the puppets, no, you're not coming here playing games no more. Just like Alpha Quabu did. Remember, I went over there, challenged the Diamond Company. I knocked the door. I gave them community projects. So, Chief Mapong, the floor is yours. 5 minutes. Give us the go ahead, Chief.
Self-determination is the point of departure. And I will say, I speak to the King Letizia, who is on the station right now, representing all the kings on the continent. I challenge you all, the kings of Africa, to collect your maps of your land that was left in your hands by your ancestors. Claim that land from the hands of the government, and the government will have no word to rule the people, because the people live on the land. On a point of departure, that is the clearest word I can share with my royalties around the continent. Do not become part of municipalities and part of provincial governments who say they are ruling over you, whereas you are supposed to be employing them to achieve the objectives that the community is in need of. The treaties that are in Britain, in the Kiss of the Queen, they were not signed with the politicians, as I said initially. Those treaties are with the kings, not the presidents. A few presidents tried to approach the Queen saying they want land back. And the Queen apparently said to them, if I give you the land back, who do I give it to? Because you as a politician, you are in power only for 5 years. But land is going to be here for another 1,000 years. You cannot leave and give land to a politician who will be voted out in the next election. Because land is an inheritance. And until our kings begin to understand that the government is a servant of the people, not the masters of the kings, until we understand that we do not elect leaders, we appoint leaders. Election is a waste of time and a waste of resources. Ultimately, to achieve this objective under the UCA, one of the strategies we have is an advanced conversation with every king to understand his jurisdiction, the population that he has on himself, and then claim that directly from the government. And if 10 kings, for example, in South Africa, each one of them can say, the land is mine. The other one says, the land is mine. The other one says, the land is mine. And the people that are on it. The government loses its legitimacy without shooting one bullet in the air. What we want to preserve also, and we are very much aware of, is that when we go the barrel direction quickly or too quickly, many of the casualties are our people. And any king who burns the city will rule over ashes. I thank you.
Wow. So, Supreme Commander, same question. Supreme Commander of NFAC, Grandmaster J. So, give us the go-ahead in 5 minutes before we give you also the floor. We still got more minutes to go. Because we understand, we've seen so many scholars. They great lecture. They give us a great lecture. They paint the picture of, yes, we need to do this. Yes, we need to do this. All over the world, in the continent, United States, UK, They talk beautifully about African unity, but when come times to practice, they run away. When the heats come on, they run away, and they go into their side. We understand. We see some leaders. So then when we see leaders like the Supreme Commander, they still get attacked. They're jealous. Oh, no. This is sellout. He's a FBI agent. When they see kings like Jesse Mapongo, oh, he's too revolutionary. We want war. You want to kill everybody. Oh, you want to bring the Shaka Zulu back. They're afraid. Some of our people. So give us the go ahead. What is required for us to start reclaiming our land and also our communities here in the diaspora? Because remember, yes, okay, we have to help the motherland, but we also have business to do here, because our ancestors built this. Our ancestors built America, built Brazil, built Europe. We also have things to do here. The fight is both ways. We have to fight in the continent, fight here. So give us the go ahead. 5 minutes, Supreme Commander.
The first thing, lose your fear. And you can attach anything behind that you desire. Lose your fear of dying. Lose your fear of struggle. Lose your fear of your fellow brother and sister. We have to stop being afraid of our own shadow as a people. We're a warrior caste, and we always have, but this big shield that we carry, we also have a big heart. And sometimes it works against us. We have to lose the fear. You know, it's rather interesting that you ask, what can we do? You've given me an opportunity to speak just for a few minutes about the new strategy of the NFAC within the United States. I told you all last year our mission was threefold: to protect us, to educate us, and to grow us. We've already proven we can protect you. Yes, anybody can strap up and put boots on the ground. And a lot of people have tried to imitate it, and they have failed, because there's a bigger mission to that. When you start thinking about what we're about to do here in the United States, because people think, well, where did they go? They didn't go anywhere. You see, sometimes in order for you to repel the virus, you have to strengthen your immune system internally. When we talk about the programs that we're about to roll out, Operation Big Mama, Operation Big Bruh, the Trade Apprentice Program, the NFAC Young Women's Uplift Program, the NFAC Black Educational Curriculum Program, the NFAC Nutrition Program, the Reverse Gentrification Project, the Project Who's Your Daddy, the NFAC Taking Care of Seniors Program, the NFAC Assisted Care Program, all of these done by our own people, to our own people, for our own people. Oh, they didn't see this coming. The NFAC International Sports Program, so our young men don't think that the only thing they can have to do in the United States is grow up in basketball or football and perform for the white man. The NFAC CPR training program, learning how to swim program. But my favorite, the NFAC landing strip program. So when people are released from these prisons as prisoners of war, they don't end up on a revolving door that puts them right back. Oh, they didn't see this coming. The NFAC Community Independence Program, firefighting safety, everything that we can think of, we have to begin not only to get over our fear, but we have to learn to admit our mistakes, see our fallacies, and put some work into them together. This is our new strategy, and I would ask everyone under the sound of my voice, no matter where you are, to take a hard look at your environment around you and stop playing gimme, gimme, gimme and say, I'm done with that. The brother said at first, if we got to go to war, the only thing you're going to inherit is a land of ashes. And that's our problem. We want to get to the rainbow and get the pot of gold, but we don't want to cross the land of Oz to get there. We have to go through this. Not saying we all gonna make it. I know I might not get there with you either, but I know one thing. Our children and our children's offspring will be able to look back and say, I remember the day that they drew the line in the sand, took their head out of the sand, stood up on the sand, and reclaimed the sand. And now we've built what we have now, and any other race that wants to cohabitate with us in peace must understand that if you can't allow us to get there peacefully, then you do nothing but invite war. That's how it's been through history. And it's not going to change just because we've got some technological toys. I would submit to all of the kings and the rulers on the continent of Africa. I'm not talking about the puppets and the prime ministers who have the white people in their pockets paying them to keep you in the position that you are. But those of you all who have the influence and the connections and that has the land and has the backbone and has the people to make it happen, that you heed my message. Because the only way you're ever going to get the leadership that you need is that you're going to have the power of the people behind you. And when we step out, there's no stepping back. Lose your fear.
Brothers and sisters, kings and queens, soldiers and rebels. That's what it's about. But again, remember what we're talking about here, right? Don't tell the BBC yet. Don't tell the MI5. Don't tell the FBI yet. So tell them when we finish our show. Because the time they like to sabotage, we understand that already. But remember, we started with you. We know your tricks already. We know clear. So we know at times you're trying to shut us down. We know that. But let us just having a conversation peacefully. We're not harming nobody. We're just having the conversation of ourselves. That's why we're having the chiefs up here protecting this conversation. We're having the ancestors protecting this conversation. If you're trying to step in over here, we're having so many platforms that sharing the message. Brothers, Jamaica sharing the. That's why we're doing this show globally. We're not playing no game. We're not even doing this on YouTube. All this because I know you own this platform. For you, Mike Zuckerberg, and all of you out there, you better watch yourself out. Let us have in the peaceful conversation without chiefs, without elders. Don't be out here trying to play game with us. Otherwise, you might go see somebody pull up in California where Cora is. So relax yourself. Let us have in the conversation. That's all. We're not harming nobody here. We're just having a peaceful conversation. That's all. That's all I'm asking you for. Then after, you can then do whatever you want. But the message already gone. That's why we're streaming audio and visually. We're giving to you live everywhere. United States, Africa, Europe, Brazil. We give it to you everywhere because we understand media is an effective tool when you know how to use it. So, just we give you 2 minutes of the chief. Just 2 minutes for him to introduce himself because you also got to land. But stop preparing yourself. If you want to go to Africa, give us a name. So the chiefs and the supreme commander you leave details that you have to pen down. Because remember, this is not just a simple conversation we're having here. It's to make you think and act on it. So, Chief King Leseta, so please, I just want you to give us some words of encouragement. Just 2 minutes. We want to hear from you. 2 minutes. Introduce yourself and just give us 2 minutes of your words that we want to hear. The floor is yours, Chief.
Kuti Naral Sidi Ayete. My name is King Litita, the third of Bahuluk Nation in the Free State. So, Joshua the third, Mapongo, I think he say many things and they cover many things. The things that I can say, I'm happy to be here. I hear you the conversation, and brother this side also is talking about the strong weight. We need the people like this. So they are very, very important to me. It's easy to finish the politician because it's us, we create the politic. In 1868, us here in the Free State, we bought the land with 9,450 cows. They stole the land to us, and then they sell the land to us. And then in 1903, after we give him back our land, we bought the land from 1868. And then in 1903, here in Harrismith, is not Harrismith here, is it Tabantri. But Harrismith, he came here and he find Morena Litlatsa. He said to Morena Litlatsa, this town from now is not Tabantri anymore, it's Harrismith. And then Harrismith, it's his name. And then after that, he told Morena Litlatsa, you are not a king anymore. You are ordinary person. And then after that, it's a long story, but I'll cut short because I don't have enough time. After that, when he took our land, and then we went to England.
Yes, we got 1 minute, Chief. Yes. To
complain to the Queen. And then the Queen, when we get there, we take a ferry here. In 1906, we paid £2,000. We were 5 delegation. Then when we get England, 1907, Queen, he play politics. When we complain to her about these people, they are stealing our land. Then when we came back there from 1907, we get here 1908. Then now we discuss what we can do now, because the Queen play politics when we want our land and our dignity.
So, Chief,
no, we can,
Chief,
to get our land back and our dignity, we must open the politics. And then we started to open the politics from 1910, and then we launched 1912. And the president of Native Congress was the secretary of Bahuluku, was Josiah Kumete. So we took Josiah Kumete, we make him a president. And then from 1912 until 1919, we prepared the constitution. And we prepared the constitution, and then we launched the constitution in 1919. I have that constitution.
Okay. Chief, what I want you to do, I want you to send a 30-second message to the entire family worldwide, Chief. We're definitely going to have the king. We're definitely going to have the king, the rulers, the real rulers that you can see, because media not going to tell you. They're just going to show you His Honorable Cyril Ramaphosa. They're only going to show you some of the presidents over there, but they're not going to show you this one. But believe me or not, these kings, they rule Africa. They really understand Africa spiritually. That's why the media never going to show you the CNN, the BBC. They're not going to show you these rulers, these chiefs, these kings. So, King, 30-second message to the entire Black African family, melanated family worldwide, Chief. And we're going to have it.
£100. So now we must take back our things is belong to us, not to ask anyone. So those our employees, the president, so they didn't do the job there. They send it to say we must bring back our land and our dignity. So we must sit down and with the kings or with the world and the community, we make a petition. We take this petition to the president. We give you 27 years, you didn't do anything right. You only destroy the things was there. Like now they are destroying the things was there. So what they use to keep them. So we must make a petition and remove it. So if we can unite, we'll be together, we'll win this very easily, because we employ them to go and get our land and our dignity. Now, if you employ someone, if doesn't do the job, you must fire that person. I think my 2 minutes is finished.
Definitely, we're gonna have you again, Chief. It's such an honor to have the king here. We're having kings in Africa, Zimbabwe, Angola, watching this show right now. We're even going to have a king's conference and rulers and chiefs and supreme commanders all over the world, just blacks, to talk about what can we do to strengthen our nations, to build our nations. So go to the NFAC to the United States real quick. We got about 10 more minutes, so we just want to make it quickly. I know you, one of the things that you scared the hell of the United States government is you completely even wanted to take the United States government into the international court. Not only that, you came up with you wanted to do this 1 million men march, or 1 million men gun formation, or I don't even know the number. So once you making this announcement, everybody was scared. Even us ourselves here, we were like, that will be just like whoa. So help us to understand. As this plan is still going to go ahead, I don't know. I don't want to say. I don't know if you're going to say this in public, but we're just going to try ask. That's all we do here. Since you gave me the platform to be the moderator, we're going to ask. As this plan still going to go ahead, because the one that you did last year, when you came out to the Stone Mountain, to the headquarters of the KKK, one of the biggest racist organizations in the world, it scared the hell out of them. Now, when you are preparing this 1 million, I think it's 1 million, correct me if I'm wrong, 1 million main gun formation, having brothers and sisters running around with the rifle in the streets of the United States, they were scared. So our question is just real quick answer. Are you still going to go ahead with this plan? Because you definitely want to move. So this is the kind of message that we want to hear. Not only like, okay, yeah, we're singing and dancing, but your message is totally different. Your act is, the same way you talk is the same way you act. We just want to hear real quick. Supreme Commander Grandmaster J.
That a year later, the purpose of the 2 million was 1 million armed and 1 million unarmed, not to run around the streets and do anything. It was to satisfy the requirement of a demonstration of a percentage of the population of an inherent nation within the United States, to demonstrate that the 57 million black folks in America were in fact the residents of a soon-to-be sovereign nation. Demonstration of the population would then be utilized to justify to the world court that we have the right to declare ourselves an independent nation, United Black Kemetic Nation. Doesn't mean that we want land or anything. We need to have an identity. Once that identity was established, then through the world courts, we could sue the United States for reparations and all other grievances that they've paid to so many other countries without any question, because reparations are not paid to a people, they're paid to nations. And as long as we're citizens of the United States, you can't sue yourselves. So all of these people who are talking about, we want our reparations, then you need to become a citizen of a nation that is owed to. And if all of the descendants of the Portuguese slave trade in the Atlantic slave trade desire these reparations the same way victims of the Jewish Holocaust, victims of the Japanese internment, those who were victims of the Native American exercises that were done against them in order to get anything through the United States systems, if that's what you want to call it. You would have to sue them through the world court, and that is the path I was on a year ago. I would say that we all continue to grow, that you're not the same person you were last year. Situations change, atmospheres change, and I have learned that everybody who would benefit from such an exercise was not necessarily willing to put in that type of sacrifice or work. And since I have become a victim of the United States judicial system, as does most black leaders in history, that plan has been put in a pause mode. To answer your question, is that still my intention? I think it would be unintelligent of me to sit here and say that that is what I intend to do while I'm still under the thumb, so to speak, of the United States judicial system. I think the real question is, of all of the people listening, is that what you intend to do? For I am just one person who was gifted with the vision that I shared with you through Facts Over Feelings, through the Morning Mentals, through the Midday Muse, through the platform that educated you, uplifted you, united you, and gave you the direction that you needed to go on. Now, does it still need to happen? Yes, it does. Does there still need to be a non-violent demonstration of population? Yes, there does. Why does it need to be armed? Because in order to demonstrate that you are a sovereign nation, the very first thing you must be able to do is prove that you have a standing army that can defend it. The average size of every ground army in the world averages out to somewhere between 1.5 to 2 million people. So an assembly of 1 million armed Black Americans would have been equivalent to an army of a nation. Doesn't mean that anyone is going to get hurt. And let me be clear to all of the non-melanated people who are so afraid that retribution for what you have done to us for so many years is what we're about. You're dead wrong. This is an exercise in uplifting our people, loving on our people, reuniting our people, re-educating our people, and getting us to stand up for ourselves to be treated as equal. It is not our fault that you have a guilty conscience about what your ancestors did. If you really felt guilty about it, you would step forward and make things right, instead of trying to tell us that we don't have a right to tell you that we are still hurt by the things you did to us in Africa and here in the United States. So you leave us no choice but to try to take care of ourselves. Just because I love these men doesn't mean I hate you. Why you hate me, we know why. But we don't hate you, and that's why we're doing this. We're doing this because of the hate we have received. I would say that in the days to come, if I am exonerated from these bogus charges against me, then yes, I would probably return to liberating my people, though I would approach it in a different direction, from a different location, with a different fascination for the love that we still need to have for each other, to be in the presence of kings, of the monarchy, to be in the presence of tribal rulers, to be in the presence of the descendants of people such as Queen Nzinga and yourself, tells me that scripture is being fulfilled. It says that when your mission is approved by the Most High, I will bring you before great men. And I would think that other great men who hear this, rather than hide and rather than hate, would say, maybe this is the turning point that we need. And right now, we are on pause because there's some cleaning out that needs to happen. There are some traitors that need to be exposed. There are some people who look like us on the outside but act like them on the inside that need to be separated. You see, I never said that we were all part of the same global family. Some of us are too far gone and there's no bringing them back, just like in the Matrix. But to the ones that we can reach, to the ones that are awake for real, to the ones that are ready to put boots on the ground, and to the ones who are ready to rebuild a sovereign Black nation, that mission has not ended.
Wow. So, we got a couple of minutes to finish now. You already heard it. But let me just help you to understand. just just like I don't care. I just want to make sure you understand this real quick. I will let you go now. NFAC World. I heard there's NFAC in France already. Right there. I heard there's also NFAC in the UK. As you can see, I'm sharing this to you now. So if you want to be a part of it, just get in touch. NFAC. Get in touch, though. I heard there's already out there. I've seen it. I've seen they win over there outside the United States Embassy. I've seen they win out there, demand outside the Tanzanian High Commission. And then I've seen the UK government was panicking at all. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own two eyes. Nobody told me that. I've seen it. So, brothers and sisters, I've seen it in the United States. They're running not only with the gun, but with the mind, with the knowledge. I've seen it too. I've seen it now in Africa. I've seen too. I've seen brothers are stepping up in Africa too, just because of NFAC. So that's why kindly I'm asking you, and just I'll show you the website. There's merchandise going on with the t-shirt, with the gear. Buy something. Support the NFAC. We need your money now. We need your dollar. We need your pound. We need it to support. That's what I'm just asking. Somebody told me to tell you. Somebody told me to tell you that stop just sitting around. Better start acting now. Be a part of NFAC. Just get in there. So if you're in the United States, be a part of it. I've seen Jamaican King calling. He wanted to be saying something, but anyway, it shows next week. I got a couple more minutes to go. Chief Rasaposa lost the connection because we know he's in South Africa right now, and you know what happened in South Africa at the moment. So we understand and we respect it. We will ask the Supreme Commander to do the close remark, and I really want you to pay attention about the NFAC. I really want to be focused because it's not a game; it's for real. And that's why you have to be on this one. Not only talking about it, gossip about it, but be on it. So, brothers and sisters, I want you to share the message one more time. Grandmaster J, I'll give you the floor. Because the king already spoke. King Letita already spoke. Chief Joshua Mapongwe already spoke. The message is being felt. Remember, the show today is about the melanated people in the continent and in diaspora must unite. Otherwise, the Chinese and the European will take over the continent. So, as you can see right here, this is the topic. So I want the conversation to still be alive. I want you to spread the message all over. Once the show's done live, share the message really. Download it from the page, put on another page, spread into another page. That's what we do, just so you can understand and you can see what we're doing, audibly and visually. So, brothers and sisters, now I'm giving the 2 minutes close remark of the Supreme Commander, Grandmaster J. The floor is yours.
First, I want to thank you for having me. I also want to thank all of the rulers who took the time out of their busy schedule to come and sit with us and share with us. I also want to give sympathies to the ruler, Mapanga, who had to leave because he lost a family member. My sympathies are with him. To the family of Jacob Zuma and to all the other leaders around the world that have left here in an untimely fashion or have been incarcerated, and that you're still our brothers and our sisters. No matter what our differences are, we have to be able to see past them because people will exploit them at every turn that they can. I've already told everyone we must lose our fear, but I will leave you with this, something to think about. Your enemy is only as strong as you allow them to be. And 9 times out of 10, you have mentally already given them the victory, though you've never fired a shot. and you've never resisted them. You see, the war is in the mind. And to all of those folks in the United States who have, quote unquote, bought into the propaganda, I would ask you this question. If something comes along that unites our people, if something comes along that empowers all of our people, if all of us find ourselves as victims of the same crimes and that we all can benefit from the solution, then anyone who looks like you, who tells you otherwise, you have to ask yourself, what is your true intention? Who sent you? Why are you here? And then you have to ask yourself, why are you so readily to believe them when you have proof in front of you to the contrary? I find it interesting that so many people speak hatefully about the NFAC and myself when the only thing that we've tried to do is liberate you from your slave master mentality. That is the challenge, not just here in the United States, but as I see abroad. And I would hope that if you watch this particular broadcast and you examine what's going on around the world, you will find this out right here. That in America, our problem is the white man. In Jamaica, your problem is the Chinaman. In the UK, your problem is the white man. In Ethiopia, your problem are your own people. In Angola, your problem are your own people with some help from the China and the white man. The point I'm making is your enemy either looks like you or looks like the Chinaman or looks like the European or looks like the Arab. But before you can take care of all of them, you got to clean house with your own people first. I love all of you unconditionally, no matter what you say about me or about this organization. I may not be the same person that I was 5, 10, 12 years ago, and I hope you aren't either. Because if you are, you already done missed the boat, and we've already left the port. We are on our way to our destination. We are on our way to our destiny. And we will never get there as long as people that look like us keep throwing the anchor overboard to stop us from moving forward. Just because they don't want to take the trip, that doesn't mean you don't need to. I bid you all peace. I bid you all shalom. I ask you to continue to support me in my fight against the United States government so that one day I may be free to stand with my people. The same way they vote with their money, the only way I'm going to win is with your money. And anyone who tells you otherwise is your enemy. You can support me at my GoFundMe at the Grandmaster J Legal Defense Fund, or you can back the NFAC by going to blacknfac.com and making some form of a donation. You keep giving our money to the enemy, and then you wonder why we have nothing. This may not be our last chance, but right now, it's our only option. Uhuru.
Wow. Brothers and sisters, give me my camera here real quick. Just give me my camera here. Yes. Give me my camera. Give me this one. Hold on a second. Yes, just give me this one here. What I need you to do now, I need you to go to this GoFundMe here. Because if you don't go to this GoFundMe, I'll tell the chief in Africa to voodoo you, send you a voodoo for you, just so you understand the game. No, I'm just kidding. Respectfully, they will send you a voodoo for you to think. But maybe, yes, but be serious. I will maybe ask one of the African leaders to do that, send you a voodoo, because you're not listening. When we ask you to donate, you're still complaining, and you're still trying to bash our leaders, our people. Just go to this GoFundMe here, right there, the Grandmaster J Legal Defense Fund. Go over there and place your donation, and don't ask any question. Just do it. So that's all I'm asking you to do, respectfully, in love. Do it for the family, because at the end of the day, this is Grandmaster J and the NFAC and the Black Power movement and the Africa United movement and the kings and the chiefs. It's way bigger than just Grandmaster J. Grandmaster J is a messenger. Oh, should I say? but it's part of this train, and we need your support on this one. Respectfully, I'm asking you. Thank you, Supreme Commander of NFAC, Grandmaster J, for your message. And your message has been really felt. And all the time we're going to be having here, according with the timing, to come by and then just spread the message with the family that what the structure for us to go forward, because we understand that you're not only talking about it, but you act about it. So thank you so much, and we'll let you go, and respectfully we send our regards to all of our family in the United States. We love you. African people in the continent love you. They're lying to you. We all love you, and we must need to connect ourselves globally. I've seen the NFAC in Africa. It's not a joke. I've seen. That's why I came over there. I went over there. That's how I connect with the chiefs. So we've seen it. So it's happening. Support the NFAC programs that's going to be happening in France, in the UK, and then it's growing. So that's why we're kindly asking you to support and join the family. That's all. And then we're not going to finish without just hear the soundbite of one of our chiefs in Jamaica. He's going to be here next week. Because remember, Jamaica is already pushing reparation. They're challenging the Queen now. They're saying, we don't want to do this no more. We want you to leave us alone. They're pushing reparation for real now. So Jamaican is doing, and then that's why the UK here they now freaking out because they're not playing game no more. So we want to hear real quick. Just tell us where you calling from real quick. And we just want to hear 1 minute from you. I know we're going to have you next week, but we want to hear from you. We have Grandmaster J, the Supreme Commander of NFAC, and we have Joshua Mapongwe in our studio. We just want you to send a message to the family real quick from Jamaica. Real quick, we got the floor.
This is Rasta O'Shea. On behalf of the Rasta movement, the Rasta nation, I'd like to say to Grandmaster J that we're united with you. If in that action at the time that you did, my brother, we wouldn't realize the constitutional rights of our people to protect ourselves. We wouldn't recognize the constitutional rights that when a system fails you, it is your right to seek action against that system. And that is what you demonstrated, my brother. So without apology, you have no regrets, because what you demonstrated was what was right and just for people. So we're one with you, Grandmaster J, as we now look forward to separation and repatriation, because that is the only solution to the African problems that we've been confronted with for over 8,000 years, and so much so in the last 500 years that has been orchestrated by these European devils. So my brother, we are one with you, and we look forward next week, Alpha Cabo, to be on this wonderful show, because liberation, emancipation of self-determination is the only answer for the black man, because we know every nation is against us. They've shown it for 8,000 years, and we know that only we ourselves can liberate ourselves, and Africa must be free by 2030.
Wow. So peace and blessings. Peace and blessings one more time. You see, for the brothers in America, let me tell you, NFAC's got so much love in Jamaica too. You see that? This is one of the chiefs there. They got so much love. So at times you gonna be over there in Atlanta. Oh, we together. No. Believe me, NFAC got love all over now. Ooh, all over. And then I'm beautifully seeing that with my own two eyes. So that's why I want you to pay attention when you out there in Atlanta. Embrace it. Go over there, embrace it. Don't just go over there killing the police. No, embrace yourself, your family. That's all. But anyway, we gotta go. Share the message. Let the family know that we're back. AKA show here at Radio Diamond TV, giving to you the best of ourselves, giving to you love, unity. And as Grandmaster J, the Supreme Commander of NFAC, said, just because we love ourselves don't mean we hate others. So for those white counterpart or Europeans, don't be afraid. We just love ourselves. Don't be afraid. So we're only going to attack you if you attack me. Attack us. Oh yeah. So if you slap me one, are we gonna slap you on the other one? That's all. But if you bring love, we're okay. We're happy to share love with you. No problem. But we just love ourselves, and then we demand respect. We want a space for ourselves. We want to have a private conversation for ourselves. We want to heal ourselves. That's what we want to do. Don't be afraid. Let us just do our thing. Don't stop using our people that look like us to do your dirty job. We've seen what happened all over the world. So stop it. Then we can be friends. Otherwise, do your thing. We're going to do ours. Peace and blessings. I will share the message. NFAC, thank you one more time, Grandmaster J and Joshua Mapongwe and the rest of the chiefs. We're going to have you again. And everybody that be sharing the message. Share the message. When we finish it, download the video. And we're going to send to also to our people worldwide. That's what we do. Remember, we're back here at Radio Diamond TV. And we give it to you globally. Not locally, but globally. Because we understand we have to connect ourselves globally. That's why we brought up this topic today. The melanated family, the black family must unite. Otherwise, yes, the Europeans and the Chinese will take over. Alongside with the puppets, will take over. Now what we need to do, we need to empower the real kings out there. We need to empower the real chiefs in the continent. We need to empower Grandmaster J. We need to, when I mean power, like just be there as a supporting cast. That's all. Just be there as a supporting cast on whatever they need. Because they already know the way. We just need to be there as a soldiers. That's what we need as a family. We just need to be together. That's all. I've been there. I was there a couple of weeks ago. Last week I was there in the continent. I've seen it. So we need it. We need our people together. We need to come together globally now. So stop all this. Oh, I'm American. Oh, they're in the continent. Oh, British, African British. No, we're all together, and we need our strength, our energy to push them back, push them away from our continent, because we understand the puppets over there. They're not serving our interests. We need you, brothers and sisters. Get your money. We're coming back again. We're going back. They can't stop us, because if you're in the United States, you want to go, just give us a call. The chiefs are ready to adopt you as a son, to give you a due citizenship right away. Don't need to ask anything. They're going to give it to you. So understand the game now. So if you want to come with us, give us a call. Get in touch with us. We are ready to put boots on the ground to represent NFAC2 over there. Alpha Quabo, we're closing with 1 minute silence. Don't go anywhere. We just do 1 minute silence before we go in, because we have to close this show to also pay respect to our ancestors again. And then one more time, shout out to our chief Joshua Mapongwe and our king as well. And then the rest of the king, they'll be listening to the show, but they won't be able to partake on this show. But definitely we're going to be having another show just for them. So 1 minute silence. Remain over there. Don't say it. Don't do anything. Let the spirit come into your body. The energy come into your body. And we're closing this show. And then I see you next Sunday. Same time. 2:30 UK time. And remember, it's all about love. Watch these pictures of your ancestors, our ancestors, in order for them to close this show.
Jukebox. Here comes the kings, the return of the ruler. Hear the roots come alive in the area. No broadcast it, yeah. Broadcast it. This on a wonder in a basket. The headlines say what's next now. All eyes on Kingston town. Caribbean queens gone wild. What has the world come to now? Them have the youths asking out and call it entertainment talk. This is how they made it. And for the girls to be successful, them have to have naked.
Sometimes we can't tell the man from the woman, no. And we can't tell the boys from the girls. No one of politicians gone dirty. And then we voting for run the world, yo.
No hunter, but I know if they talk it, cause
the whole world I feel it.
The truth is an offense, but can't set us free. Time for the return of roots and culture. The return of, the return of what? The return of roots and culture. Let it arise and never fall. Time for the return of roots and culture. The return of, the return of what? The return of roots and culture. Let it arise and never fall.
Never ever.
You a long time the one about the changes. Nothing before the time it was stated. So much things get overrated.
Now it's time for the real to replace it, yeah.
Come along, children, come along.
Yeah.
Hear the voices of the archangels sing along. Come along, children, come along.
Come along.
Sing along with the world. Time for the return of roots and culture. The return of, the return of, the return of roots and culture. Let it arise and never fall.
Never,
Time for the
never.
return of roots and culture. The return of, the return of, the return of roots and culture. Let it arise and never fall.
All the time them never fight against Rasta.
Rasta,
When we tell them about the Father, no things gone out to order. His only roots and culture can restore things and
all
yeah.
over the world.
Yeah.
The same complaint is driving the masses insane. All over the world.
Yeah, yeah.
I hear the masses chant and say, yeah, give me roots, 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 give me roots. Time for the return of roots and culture. The return of, the return of, the return of roots and culture. Let it arise and never fall.
Jukebox, where
Time
you
for the
say?
return of roots and culture. The return